Welcome to the Oak and Pine Podcast, a safe space to learn and grow together. Hi, I am AB and I am an eclectic witch, originally from Venezuela.
Hi, I'm Lala. I'm of the Black Indigenous people of the Eastern United States, and I am reconnecting with my roots by way of hoodoo and studying witchcraft.
Hi, my name's Connor. I'm a traditional British witch.
Now, let's get
Let's
witching.
get witching.
I feel that this is better. I feel that it's definitely sounding better.
From when we first started, yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely. As everybody has heard, we just are back from a couple of weeks. We had some personal issues. So, yeah, we apologize for not being able to be on time, but we are here. Lala, Connor, how is everything going on your end? Tell us a little bit about, yeah, your weeks.
Yeah. So, I am the one that had some personal things going on. So I'm happy that I was able to overcome that. And that's what this is all about, right? You utilize what you know, what you learn to overcome what you're going through. So,
Yes.
yeah, but I do want to shout out Hoodoo Heritage Month, the month of October. So I apologize too for not being real active on social media, but I am gonna go ahead and just post about it on social media. And of course, all the hoodoo practitioners and followers, I'm pretty sure they're well aware. But for those of us that were not aware, you will be. So that's really it for me. That's it for me. How have you been, Connor?
I've been pretty good. Studies have been going well, and I got given 3 whole big, juicy textbooks to read through on top
Love
of the
that.
textbook I already had too. So a lot of reading is going to get done.
We love that. We love that
Yes.
energy. On my end, it's pretty much being the same, being trying to be very, very active on social media. I do feel that it's been a great month, connecting a lot with the spirits, connecting a lot with my ancestors, with Saint Cyprian. It's been a good week. It's been a good week on that side, for sure. Today, the topic itself, we are going to be talking about protection. And this is a big thing because I always reemphasize that we all practitioners should focus a lot on protection, and especially when we are just starting in our spiritual witchcraft path. So let's begin with that. Please share with us what protection is, what is the definition of protections like within the spiritual element and all of that. Let's begin with you, LaDonna.
Yeah. So for me, protection is really whatever it takes to keep you feeling at ease, feeling at peace, not feeling of being under attack. And it's not just the physical body. It's your spirit, your mind, and of course, I believe that controls the body. So it's acts of prayer, practices, rituals, anointing, cleansing. There's just a whole bunch that goes into protection. And I think that it's very, very important because we're under attack more than ever nowadays, with the rise of social media and with the economy being the way it is. People are not thinking rationally, or they're thinking with jealousy. Because everyone's just trying to survive, right? So we are definitely under spiritual warfare every day. So protection is really, really important. So for me, what I start out with protection is just keeping a strong mind, strong faith. I really believe that that's where it starts with. And then, yeah, whatever you do in your practice, whatever you believe in is whatever you believe that's going to protect you, that has the power of protection in it. So,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel that. What about you, Connor? What do you think about protection and all? How do you define it?
So protection in terms of a spiritual practice was definitely sort of like any charms, much like Lala said, like any prayers or poems, any things like that. words of power, even intention that you put into some sort of action or object that is designed to shield you from any unhealthy influences, be it from within society or within this, or from the spiritual world, or kind of like a mixture of both.
Yes.
Um, is generally my perspective of protections are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So on my particular experience when it comes to talk about protection, Jason Miller, and I keep bringing Jason Miller, but he's my instructor, okay? And I just love
Yes.
the content that he shares. Uh, he always make the example of um protection is your worth. Your protection is what will defend you of circumstances, and the amount of energy that you put into protection is obviously going to be equal to the how effective the
Right.
protection is going to be.
Mhm.
However, it's not good or healthy to be fully protected against everything, because that does not he uses the example of, imagine a body. If you do not expose yourself to certain environment diseases, let's call it like that, like
Yeah.
you will
It's
never
kind of like,
develop those
right.
antibodies and that resistance
Right.
to
Yeah.
certain
Don't become a
elements.
bubble boy.
Don't
Yeah.
become a bubble boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
So
how our
Yeah.
parents say, like, oh, you have to fall off your bike so you can know that pain. So you make sure that you don't fall off that bike again. But it may
yeah,
happen.
but
But
it
now you know
also
how to deal
helps.
with
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but it's like there is obviously there is a balance with everything, and we are going to talk more about that. But certainly protection is that ward and that defense that you have against unwanted circumstances or unneeded circumstances, unhealthy or damaging. So yes, that on that side, and protections we can see it across time and history. um However, on your particular side, when it comes to talk about protection, what are your views about this? Like, what is your opinion about protection, especially, focusing on the beginner element? You first, Connor.
So on a beginner element, in terms of like easy things that beginners could use to get started, or easy or very accessible forms of protection, um, one of the most easiest forms of protection really relies upon your ability to manipulate energy around you, and the energy within you, and be able to draw upon certain energies, which is why I recommend meditation first prior to protection stuff. So you
Absolutely.
learn how to like get in touch with your energy, then you learn how to manipulate your energy, and then you can learn how to utilize it, right? And so one of the greatest and easiest and most accessible things you can use for protection is a rock.
Yes.
Literally just a rock. You don't need anything really fancy. The rock essentially functions as a vessel to contain the energy that you put into something, right? Um, so stones like this, or this is like a quartz matrix. It's like a mixture of quartz and a bunch of other stones that I literally just picked
Love that.
up. So it doesn't necessarily have to be too complicated or fancy. Like you don't need to buy any very expensive ingredients,
Yes.
which is why I love very traditional or simplistic witchcraft, is because it's easy to do. Like it requires very little in terms of like costs, right?
Yes.
Another thing that you can use is plant allies, growing plants within your space, or
Ooh.
using the essential oils, or like, for example, making like plant water. So taking fresh plants, putting it in water, like a spray bottle, shaking
Yes.
it up, and then just like and like spraying it and blessing your space, and learning how to bless water too. That's also a really accessible way.
Yes.
Like you can seine water. Seine is a Scottish term for blessing, as well as like an infinity of many other different uses of the word seining. But essentially, like dropping a piece of silver into some water, praying over it,
Yes.
is a really simple, easy way to actually bless water for use of protection or otherwise, right? So
Yes.
take a look at what your ancestors did. I think doing some research into your background um, can really help give you some insight into what sources you can pull upon that can help you, because you'd be surprised how easy some of them are.
Yes, absolutely. I love to hear that you mentioned about the plant water, but also dropping just the silver coin, like a piece of silver. I was already thinking on a coin
Just like
in
an
water.
earring.
Yeah, an earring. Actually, it was you who told me that you always like to have like a piece of silver of you on you, so you can make less water. Love
Yep.
that. I love that. I love that. What about you, Lala? Tell me some practical aspects, like especially for our beginners, our beginner practitioners, um, about the protection. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me as a beginner, before I even discovered, certain things that I could do with rituals, things that I can carry with me, I've always relied on prayer. I mean, I pray
Yes.
when I wake up,
Love
because
that.
I'm asking for that protection throughout
Yes.
the day.
Yes.
Not just for myself, but for everyone that I love.
Yes.
For my children, everyone that just friends, everyone that's close to me, I really ask for that protection. Because again, it's hard out here. But I am going to piggyback on what Connor said. Find what's in nature. I feel like there are so many things in nature that we can use to protect us.
Yes.
I like how you mentioned a rock. Pay attention. I started paying attention to my surroundings. I mean, I kind of always do, but the other day I was getting into my car and I had only been out of my car for maybe 20 minutes. And when I went back, there was this large stone just right, like I had to step over it to get in my car. So I was like, oh, I was like, is this a gift? Is this a sign? So I immediately picked it up and I took it home. And I just feel like those are signs maybe from our ancestors. Those are
Yes.
gifts to say, hey, take this for protection.
Yeah.
Um, I also really believe in like you said, charging water, or blessing water. That's an
Yes.
element that is around us. If you can't get to, river water or a
Yes.
stream, a bottle of spring water. I have set a bottle of spring water out in the sun.
Yes.
Let the sun charge it. Because the sun is protection. The sun is also creation. But the sun will protect us from certain elements. So
Yes.
let that water charge, and then I've actually drank it. I've actually drank that water. And this is even after I had it on my altar to be charged as
Yes.
well. So
Yes.
I like what Connor said about the plants. I feel like plants always protect us, especially in your home, because on a scientific level, plants are natural filters, they're natural purifiers.
Yes.
And so that is a big part of protection. So, yep, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. I really feel strongly about keeping a clean environment.
Thank
That
you.
is a must.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is a must. That is a
Thank
must.
you.
Cannot get rid of negative energies. And sometimes even if you're a positive person, upbeat person, something can attach to you.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and you bring that into your home.
Yeah.
And then if your home is, cluttered, and I'm not saying, if you can't keep a spick and span home because you have children and the toys are everywhere, I think that's different from clutter and filth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Open your windows. I know some people that
Yeah.
never open
Yes.
their windows.
That's a
Open
very
those
German thing,
windows.
opening your windows to clean or just
Yes.
opening your windows through
Yes.
to get like fresh air flow through. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Big.
Fresh air. You want to breathe in that fresh air. So
Love
plants will
that.
definitely help that. Plants will definitely take in that carbon monoxide and release that oxygen and keep your
Yes.
air clean. So yeah. And again, these are cheaper alternatives. I know that there's so much more out there that we can use, but it may
Yes.
require some shopping, and that might not be, like, you might not have that money to do the shopping, and you need protection right now. So
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
I love how we keep going back and forth between protection and cleansing, but I sometimes feel that they just go hand by hand.
Yes.
And in my mind, cleansing sometimes is even an act of protection. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I love that. Something very important is that originally a lot of people they saw as witchcraft and curses and hexes natural diseases, biological circumstances that were happening in their space. So the way that they were fighting against those circumstances were, as they call magic, they were just cleaning, washing, purifying.
Yes.
So what I like always, how I like to think that magic works is that we are elevating in the spiritual what we do with the material world. So if I am cleansing my apartment in the physical world, I know that I'm cleansing the ethereal space as well, especially if I am resonating with the intention, or I'm vibrating with the intention of I'm cleansing my space, not only in the material plane, but also in the ethereal. So I love how you both share that. Yes, Connor.
Just also playing off what Lala said, she's absolutely right in the means where it's like, no matter how positive you are, how much you feel your vibrations, how high they are, something can still latch onto you. Something can still impact you, right? Hummingbirds can still get swat out of the sky. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So like, it is important to have some understanding of protections, especially if you are sensitive to spirits or otherwise. Like, it's important to really understand how it works, like energetically speaking, understand how protections work and how to properly put protections up.
Yes. And the getting, and this has that, it's important that you mentioned that hexes, curses, evil eye, diseases, this is natural. We are going to be dealing with that. Many practices, many witchcraft related cultures, many witchcraft in different cultures mention that curses and hexes sometimes can happen without you caring. Like if you do something by accident, oh, you might hex yourself, or you might bring bad luck. If bad luck situation. So protections, it's important not only to be had, but also to be kept refreshed, because anything is forever in this life. In the same way that you need food to energize yourself, your protection need to be revamped and recharged, if that makes sense. I love how you mentioned prayers, Lala, because I do think that sometimes the more simple and common used elements are the best. And I agree. I will bring in, if you come from a religious family, even if you do not subscribe to religion anymore, crosses, spiritual symbols that resonate with your tradition and culture and your heritage work fine. Prayers, olive oil, like bless your olive oil, put some salt in it and say, I consecrate you as a oil for protection and guard, and just anoint your house, your doors. That's incredible. That is an incredible act of protection itself. Now, a question that we always ask in our podcast is the morality aspect. Do you think that a protection has a morality element? We can begin with you, Lila, first.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's take the church. And when I speak about the church, the Vatican, Catholicism, all the way down to Christianity and all of that. People go to church on a Sunday to cleanse themselves as well as refill themselves. And to me, it's all about protection. And I mean, people will come to the altar for prayer, they'll get anointed. And so I mean, it's out there in society. So I say that, yes, people look at it as a moral thing. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go to church or anything like that. That's your only way to get protection. Again, it's just all about your practice, and it's all about what you feel will protect you. If you feel that, oh my, this pair of drawers I've been wearing, or this thong I've been wearing for, a week, I'm going to keep it in my pocket now because I feel like it's going to protect me. Whatever you think is good protection for you, I say go for that. So yeah, I think that in society, we do consider protection a thing that we all need.
What do you think about the morality aspect of it, Connor?
It's interesting, this conversation, because I feel that protection is very much a human thing. It's one of the basic things that all humans crave and desire, regardless if we're on like one side of the spectrum of like good and evil or on the other, or how we treat other people. I think people from both sides or from anywhere are going to be craving and wanting protection along with like food or abundance and shelter, right? It's like the basic necessities that humans like want to have like good mental health. So I think regardless if someone has religion or not, there's always going to be these little things in society that people are going to do that helps them make them feel more secure, whether that's like making sure all the doors and windows are locked, or you know, this actually stems from a spiritual practice, knocking on wood. You know, but that's a thing that even non-religious people I've seen
will
do.
Yes.
And it's that is protection in itself. When you're talking about something that you don't want to have happen, that's a form of protection, is warding off that kind of protection.
Yes.
Do you guys remember like a rabbit's foot?
I have
people
one.
People would carry that rabbit's foot, you know, to kind of just, oh, good luck, but it's really protection from bad luck or bad elements. So I feel like it's everywhere. Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that. And I mean that the morality aspect is very heavy, because we definitely think as humans, and obviously we don't want anything bad to happen to us. We don't want to get sick. But as I said earlier, nature is is beyond good or bad. And you know, protections, I see them important because nobody wants to be exposed to the rain. If you expose yourself to the rain, you are going to get sick. Is the rain bad? No, it's needed for nature, but exposure to it, you know, outside the normal aspect of it, it can get you sick. I don't think the parasites or certain what is the name? For example, amoeba, the amoeba, like these different small nature elements. I don't know how to pronounce it in English, but you know what I mean.
Organism, like
these organism, like very
viruses?
Microscopic organism, and also viruses as well. They exist. They are part of our nature, and they are not thinking, well, I'm going to go to Connor and get him sick. They are just existing, reproducing. Their goal is survival. And certainly we are affected by it. And we need to take, you know, antibiotics. We need to go and take our medicine. The same situation is with protections. We need it in order to guarantee our survival and our well-being. Please, Connor.
And to add on to that as well, like from like, whether you come from an animist perspective or otherwise, another important rule to take from nature is that pretty much every single animal has some form of protection from predation or from otherwise, right? We've all evolved
from the elements of nature.
It's
a matter of survival,
environmental pressures, things like that. So like most animals have, unless they evolved in an environment where they have literally no predators whatsoever, they protect themselves against the environment, but perhaps not from predators, unless like another species is introduced and they get wiped out. But you know, like humans,
humans.
But protection is everywhere. Like, I mean, look at tardigrades. Tardigrades are these like little, like itty bitty, teeny tiny little organisms, yet they can like turn themselves, I think it's either into salt or into sugar or something like that. They like almost become not alive in order to survive droughts and extreme harsh conditions. And then when water comes in, they rehydrate and they continue on as if nothing happened. Like there's so many amazing adaptations that nature has created. And just in that infinite sort of amount of variety, we have our creativity help us to create an infinite variety of protections to help us through our daily lives, especially within the spiritual realm as well, right?
Yeah, and I think that is important. Of course, if someone is trying to hex me or curse me or whatever, obviously I have my wards ready, but it is important to be aware that some other elements in nature does exist, like I cannot see Lala now for some reason.
Sorry.
It's all good. Some other elements in nature exist. Let's say spirits, parasites, that other beings that feed of our energy, that might
Mhm.
feed and latch onto people. And it is important to be aware that the protection is to, defend you from them,
Yes.
but that does not make them inherently evil. It's just
Absolutely.
part of existence. And yes, real brief before I forget, sorry.
Sorry.
And
And
also, I think that the protection is important as well, because we need not only to guard from that outside influence, it's also important to be aware that it will need that recharge aspect.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
also, we as practitioners, we need to keep in mind that even if we protect ourselves to the max, we cannot fight against existence. Something is going to slide in.
Yep.
Something is going to happen. We are not deities. I say what I say. We are not deities to completely stop influence of
That's right.
life.
I think
And
that that's all that we've actually been guaranteed, is that, life is going to be full of trials and tribulations up and down, and you just
Yeah,
have to survive.
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And to quickly add on to the deity point, again, taking lessons from nature, which I love doing. In nature, you'll often find these codependent relationships between certain species, like crows
Yes.
and wolves, where crows will fly overhead, find a carcass, and they've actually learned how to communicate to a certain extent with wolves by like alerting them to the carcass, because crows aren't strong enough to break open like the hide of a deer or something. So
Mm.
they'll draw wolves over to break it open so that the crows can get at the finer bits. And so, in a similar way, when we work with deities that do protection, they can see the parts that we can't, and so we call upon them to protect us, and in return,
Yes.
we give them offerings and libations and whatever else, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, in that same mean, you can also use spirits for protection too.
No, but that's completely true, and I do feel that that's why many cultures as well not only connected with deities, but they're also connected with their own bloodline. Hey,
Mhm.
Yes.
now that you have moved on, remember that you struggle like me. You know how hard it is
Yes.
here. This is
Great
why
grandma,
all
you
day.
owe me.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you say that, because that is another part of my prayer, is that I do ask my grandmother, my ancestors, to continue to protect me,
Yes.
everyone that has passed on. Yep. So I think that that is very important, and if you really believe that, you can find comfort.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, it kind of puts me in the thought of like when I was young and I only had those people to depend on to make me feel secure and protected. So you
Yeah,
can achieve the same feeling
Mhm.
if you pray to them and you ask them for that. So yeah.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
actually, I had a question for you, AB.
Oh, go on.
We're getting deep.
He caught
We're getting
me.
deep.
Yeah, go for
So,
it.
in the theme of protections, what kinds of protections are there? Because I have a couple, like I have a few in my mind, but I wanted to ask you, like, what are the different kinds of protection you can have?
That is a tough one, because there are like a lot of ways to respond that. Like, do you have an
Mhm.
example of what you are looking for or what you have in mind? So
So I kind of thought that it might be more effective to sort of break it down into different categories. So, for example, we have passive protections like
mhm.
sigils, wards, things like that. Then you have more like active protections, like things that require something physical to happen in order to trigger. So, for
Yes.
example, I actually have a couple examples here with me because I like making shit. So
Mhm.
passive, you could write runes, or you could write sigils or things like that in
Yes.
holy water or oil or anything like that on certain walls or surfaces or objects to
Yes.
protect them. You could also make things like a Bridget's cross, goddess
Yes.
Bridget's cross. It's mostly used for abundance, but it can also be used to protect and keep things
Mhm.
out of your house. I made another similar cross here
Mhm.
out of rose thorns, which is kick ass, and tied it with the red cord. Um, you can also make things such as this one's long. Hold on.
I love how you call your protections between active and passive. Yes, a witch's
Witch's ladder.
ladder.
This is a very old form of
Love that.
protection. Um, and a very traditional one from Ireland, Scotland, and England is a Rowanberry hagstone charm.
Love that. I
So
love
this is
that.
another great one. But that's in terms of like wards, things that just sort of passively protect you, that
Yes.
kind of emanate that energy or just
Mhm.
like diffused it over time. And then you have things that are more active, like this. This is a witch's bell charm for my door. So anytime someone,
Yep.
you know, opens and
I like
closes
that.
it, the bells
Yes.
ring. And
Yes.
utilizing the theory of like, bells using the sound waves to clear out energy,
Right.
this is how
Mhm.
it functions, right? Among with like many other smaller things that I've mixed in with that.
That's a hoodoo practice too.
The
Bells on
bells.
the, yeah.
I
Yep. I
love
like that.
bells.
Yeah, I do
Yes.
too.
Yes. And
So,
also in Brujeria we have them as well.
yeah.
Yep. So it's very shared across culture. So
And
I
that's
love
what I love. I
Yeah,
love that.
absolutely. I feel that obviously there are elements that cannot be shared because it is, I mean, this is a conversation about protection, not witchcraft itself. But
Yeah.
um, one thing is witchcraft, and another thing is a cultural practice.
Yes.
Like a cultural close tradition. It's
Mhm.
it's very different. But yeah, just say throwing that out there. But anyhow, protections. It's funny that you mentioned that you call them active or passive. I just think about protections in ethereal protection and material protection. Material is not necessarily related that to it will protect the material world, but it is anchored in the material existence and vibrates in the ethereal world.
Mhm.
And ethereal protections are more like you cannot see them. It's more like an influence, like prayers, a
Like a
spiritual
circle.
protection.
Mhm.
When you create a circle with your magic wand, when you make a protection spell. So I was thinking more about that.
Mhm.
I will not show my protections because I'm very delicate with that, but I will show just one that I did create for social media and I still have it.
Part of protection is also making sure to keep some of your information private. Like these are
Yeah.
very traditional ways that I've shown you that you
Yes.
can find anywhere that
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
made on my own. But there certainly are protections that I have in place that you can't see, and likely you're not going to be able to see when you walk into my apartment or
Yes.
anywhere else, right? Often the best protections are ones that you can't even physically see with your eye.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So this small word, it's hard to see it, but inside it has some devil's claw, angelica, it has sand, it has thorns, and I let a black candle burn on top of it. So this pretty much emulates the classical historical traditional witch's bottle, which I do have a witch's bottle. I do think that the material element pretty much reflects what we are trying to do in the spiritual world. If you are familiar with witch's bottle, historically speaking, is a bottle that has some of your body substances, let's say like
Yes.
urine. Yes, I was going to say urine.
Yep.
More educated, like right.
You
But
pee in
yeah,
it.
you pee in it. You pee in a bottle. You
Put some iron nails or whatever in there, pee in
you
it.
put nails, glass, stuff like
Yeah,
that. And you pee
glass
in
is
a
great.
bottle. Yes. And you close that bottle and you bury it in front of your house.
Mhm.
Typically it has two, it works as in two ways. To get rid of a curse, you literally pee in the bottle and then you throw it in the fire. And when the bottle explodes, the curse has exploded as well and you got rid of it. Or you just bury it in front of your yard, and as a decoy, pretty much any curse or any parasite or anything sent towards you, it's going to be immediately attracted to that body substance that is within the bottle, and the nails and the glass is going to trap it.
Traffic. Okay.
So yes, it's a very historical and traditional element, and I have my own, and I also have this word that I made with sand. So in the material element, I have other ones. I do recommend, as I said, crosses, for example, very Christian, very brujo. For those that are brujos like, well, I'm not brujo, but you know what I mean. Mexican sorcery or American brujeria does touch upon praying to San Michael, which is not necessarily a saint; it's an archangel, Archangel Michael. But in Spanish we call it San Michael. But anyways, praying to spirits, you can just use aloe vera, which is something that I do. You have an aloe vera, you tie a red ribbon in it, you pray on it, you bless it with protection oil, and she's going to be a wonderful spiritual ally, herbal ally to protect your space. Yes,
What is that again? Aloe vera?
aloe vera. Yeah.
Aloe vera. Okay.
Yeah, accent. Sorry. Sorry, everybody.
I thought it
Sorry,
was something else,
everybody.
and I was just like, "Oh, what's
Sorry.
this?"
Sorry,
And I was like,
everybody.
wait, oh, it's okay, aloe vera.
I
Mint.
Well, let me tell
Mint
you
is
something.
great.
I'm the Sofia Vergara of witchcraft, and you are going to deal with it.
Okay,
But
that's
yeah,
fine.
so we have the material element, crosses. We have the known as evil eye, which I think that you can see from afar in this video in my wall right here. Look.
Yeah. So like charms as well, like
I
symbols that
love,
have been around
yes,
for a long time.
that is very brujeria.
Yeah.
Use charms, amulet, talismans,
Yes.
creating your charming bags, which we were talking about that, Lala. But I think that Lala
Yes.
can share that a little bit more now. So yeah, go for it, Lala. Pick it up.
So wait a minute, are you talking about bags or like
Like the
charms?
mojo bags. You
Okay,
remember that
because
we were talking about mojo bags and
yes,
gree. Yes.
yes. Because real quick, when you guys were talking, I thought about charms. So I like jewelry. So I tell
Yes,
people
thank
that
you.
like jewelry, take advantage of that. Like I like how you said how Connor, how you always wear a piece of silver. I like to wear symbols, you know, symbols of life, symbols of not so much death, but that afterlife, you know, to protect me in the afterlife, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that because it is always on you. And I real quick too wanted to talk about enchanting your jewelry.
Yes.
I would like for you to share that. I remember talking to both of you about it, but if one of you can kind of go through those steps real quick for our listeners, because it's very simple, very easy, and I think that
We
they would
can give
appreciate it.
we can give just two versions of it. Connor, you first because yeah.
Okay.
Because I say so.
Okay. So one very easy way that I do it is okay, now I just had like 13 other different points pop into my head. Of course, I say it's easy, yet it's fucking complicated.
Because that's how witchcraft works.
So first and foremost, you want to quickly think about what metal your like jewelry is made out of. The actual material components can have added layers to that protection. So silver, copper, or gold are antibacterial or antimicrobial. So even then they have protective qualities. Symbols, of course, like Lala said, you can layer that with a symbol. So I would cleanse it first. Depending what metal you have, some of them react to being placed in salt. So cleansing them in other ways. So using sound cleansing, like using a bell or a drum or singing can be another way. If you have a certain song that like sort of makes you feel fresh and clean and it kind of clears away things.
Smoke cleansing.
Smoke cleansing, that also works too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then basically grounding and centering yourself, focusing your intentions into what you want the particular object to do, and then in whatever way feels best with you, either breathing on it, kissing the piece of jewelry, physically touching and putting the energy into the jewelry piece. Any other way that really works best for you. I like breathing on it or kissing it. That's sort of how I work. You know, that's pretty much how it is. And then you basically set the intention. You say, I want you to do this, do it that way, etc. And you can even like bless it with some extra oil to like boost it or charge it or some way.
The word is feed it. Feed your protection with oil, perfumes. Yes, Connor, bring it on.
When I become an ancestor, I want people to feed me with Nutella and chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, technically, you don't have to wait until you are an ancestor. Like, if you find the right person and be like,
sister, I could commission I can be like, listen, family, if you want stuff from me, you got to give me chocolate. And Halloween's coming up, so
I actually have a TikTok that I made, so I invite y'all to, you know, it's just a quick go and
check out the link below.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, certainly I sometimes I tend to oversimplify my steps because I'm a firm believer, because that's what I'm doing. I'm a firm believer that as you keep practicing, you are going to learn how to layer your spells.
Mhm.
And that's something that no one can teach you. You have to find out how that
Yes.
works for you.
Yes.
You know, taking the antibacterial circumstance that Connor said, I like to bless my bleach. I like to bless
Yes.
my hand sanitizer. I literally say, in the same way that you cleanse in the material, you will cleanse in the spiritual.
Yeah.
Powerful cleansing agent. So watch your practice and your witchcraft in a very redundantly practical way always. But anyways, how I like to protect, how I like to create my words, I like to place them in a mirror because I want that reflective effect of repelling that is being sent against you. Obviously, mirror has to be cleansed. The jewelry has to be cleansed as well. It doesn't have to be a metal. It doesn't have to be a crystal. It can be anything that you wear. You can a ring, earrings, your bone, what
Yeah.
oh Jesus, whatever you want. This is life. Anyways, place it in the mirror, and you are going to put your hands on it. I like to smoke cleanse with rosemary, and rosemary also have powerful cleansing and protective properties, and pray over it.
Yes.
How I like to pray, because again, brujeria, family tradition, Our Father, Holy Mary, is that in English?
Hail Mary. Can I get a Hail Mary?
Hail Mary. Yeah, in English. I do everything in Spanish, by the way, if y'all haven't noticed.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Our Father, Hail Mary, and then I call to protective powers of my ancestors. I literally go over, I call my ancestor, I call Saint Cyprian, I call the Witch Father, I call my angels. If I connected with an angel that has protecting or healing, I always love to call Archangel Raphael. So I called Raphael, and that's it. Whatever. You are the one that is going to establish those anchor points. I like to think about that as anchor points. What resonates with you and what brings the energy and emotion of protection, that's what you are going to call in. And if you are not calling anything, you can literally bless it while you imagine a shell. Imagine like Bowser, Bowser from Mario. He has a big shell and like spikes and stuff like that. Imagine that while you are blessing your protection, and that is what is going to reflect in the outer world. So
imagine you're Princess Peach and he's keeping you in his castle.
Yes.
Let me tell you something.
Peaches.
Copyright, no copyright.
Yeah, sorry.
We don't own the song, and we are using it just for recreational purposes.
Thank you.
But anyways, I love this, and I love protection, and I feel that protection is so broad, because you can make a spell for protection to protect your money, to protect your health, to protect your house. And I actually find that specific spells works better than a broad spell. If you make a protection thinking about protect my home, my health, my beauty, my house, my money, my car, my mom, my sibling, it's going to spread too thin. So it's easier to make multiple ones. I find.
I like that.
And maintain them too.
And maintain them. You gotta feed them.
Much like a battery, it'll run out eventually.
That's right.
And also to add too, I completely forgot about this. You can incorporate it into your self-care routine as well. So for example, I just purchased a bulk order of soap from a company in Ottawa called Purple Urchin, which makes like cold processed soaps, and it's like a local like small business, which is awesome.
Love that.
But the soap I got in is mint and rosemary, which is very protective, and it smells great. So not only is it actually healthy for your skin, but you can actually connect with the herbs inside the soap, or you can like carve a sigil into the bar of soap to actually use it for protection. And so every time you shower, you cleanse off the shit that you brought up with you during the day, and you relayer that protection on, so you're fresh and clean, and you're like, good to go.
Love that.
And if you don't know anything about sigils, you don't know what sigil to use, even a word, you can literally write protection or protect me
That's
on your bar soap.
That it's
Absolutely.
simple. We are going to talk about sigils at some point because definitely chaos magic is something that we are going to mention. I love chaos magic. I think that is one of the best things because the limit is in your imagination. And if it works, it works. You keep it. If it doesn't work, then you do something new.
Do something.
Yeah, protection is it's something that can be done in so many different ways. And I love all these examples that we have shared, and I invite everyone to write them down. That for sure.
Yes, please.
Um,
Now,
yes,
to
go for
touch
it.
on the mojo bag real quick,
Yes,
that
go
is
for it.
something, absolutely. That is something in hoodoo practice that came from African tradition, to have a bag that has protection tools in them. Now I haven't made a mojo bag yet because, just getting the material. I wish I could be like old school, like on the farm, like, oh, I got a piece of cowhide and I can make my own bag. But I haven't made it that far, but I do have an idea. But what I did want to point out again, it is Hoodoo Heritage Month, and tomorrow, the 19th, is actually High John the Conqueror Day.
Oh,
Yes,
excellent.
and a history fact, Frederick Douglass was given a High John root as protection from slave traders. So it really goes back. It goes back way before then. So yeah, protective roots can go into your mojo bag. Some stones with sigils, whatever you feel necessary. Bones. I like the concept of bones because some bones are readily available to us, and the animal that bone comes from, if that is an animal that is a alpha species, a protective species, that bone can aid your protection. So like
Yes.
people like they like shark teeth, and or like a alligator tooth, or so because we're here in Florida.
Or like a
That's a bone.
porcupine
There you
thing.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, mojo bag. So I do recommend just looking up mojo bag and just seeing the history on it, because I always like to tell people, don't take my word for it. Research and do your history on it, and make your mojo bag. And
Yes.
again, tomorrow is High John the Conqueror Day. So
Yes. I love that.
let's honor that and make a mojo bag and throw a High
Yes.
John the Conqueror root in there. Now, I'm trying to practice what I preach. Maybe if I can find me, like, I don't even know where. I need to visit a store. I need to visit like a witchy store.
Yeah,
To
there
see
are
what.
some good ones here in Orlando. I do invite you. Like I will send I will send some links via text message later. Um,
Yeah.
for those that are not African American, or do not have the the roots to like dive into the mojo bag element, there are many options out there, because one of the things that is very shared across the board is the act of enclosing within a bag. Natives from America also have like their medicine bag. In South America, actually, you can get to see it in Mexican sorcery book. We have like little in Mexico, they have the morralitos, which is pretty much like a little bag where you can also create like your talisman type of situation. In Venezuela, we also have them as well, but we literally call them like that, like una bolsita, or we call it protection. That's it. But yeah, just research what is done in your space. The act of enclosing is found across the board. And yeah, let's elevate and give a big shout out to you mentioned Hoodoo Heritage Month.
Yep, Hoodoo Heritage Month.
Blessed.
So I'm going to actually post the calendar that you sent me, just to kind of give suggestions on what you can do that day to honor Hoodoo Heritage. So
I love that. I love that.
yeah.
That is incredible. What I was going to ask, now that we are getting closer to start wrapping up, personal view on how protection works within your practice. Like, how do you like to do it? What day do you like to make them? Maybe what spirit you work with at the time to create that protection. And also, along with that, some research that you would like to share with our listeners
Yeah.
regarding protection. Let's begin with you, Lala, and then you, Connor, and then me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, I do start my day with prayer, and I actually pray 3 times a day. And when I say 3 times a day, I mean like I really try to take a few minutes to really just sit into my prayer. So morning when I wake up, noon, and then before I go to bed. I definitely think that that is the easiest protection that is readily available to you. Offering your breath to your ancestors, your deities, whoever you are praying to, even God. The Alpha Omega, the highest up. I will, pray that I can remain still so that I can receive the Holy Spirit and know how to maneuver through life. So yeah, but I do want to take some time to, make mojo bags and whatnot. So for me, my spiritual day is Sunday. I feel like that is my day to really put that work in. I also like to do new practices or rituals at the new moon. I really like that concept, that, new moon phase, because the moon is very powerful to us earthlings. We need the moon. So I think that that is very, very, very important. Now, for my book, well, for my resource, I do want to share Miss Ada. I love her book is literally called Hoodoo Cleansing and Protection Magic. So she has 9 chapters, and each chapter really touches on a different aspect of cleansing or protection. So it begins with the first chapter is literally called "It Begins with the Aura." It talks about your aura and how you really need to keep your aura clean. And then it goes into negative energies in the home, like we talked about earlier, how you can bring those negative energies into the home. Maybe you're a person that likes visitors. You like to have company, and somebody else has brought that into your home. And then it goes into talking about encountering attached, possessed, and bewitched objects. I remember telling you, AB, be careful with purchasing secondhand chairs or just any object,
Anything secondhand must
anything
go through a
secondhand.
reset process.
Yep.
Recommendation to
Absolutely.
everyone. Recommendation to everyone.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Please cleanse everything that you get from a secondhand store.
Yes.
Everything. Even books. I say, if you get a book,
Everything.
everything.
Actually, everything that you buy. A lot of
Everything.
people handles all the things that we get.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's kind of like how you want to, wash things off before you use it, the same way. So quickly, then she talks about negative people. She talks about illness, the effects on the infirmed and caregivers. I think that's very important. She talks about negative spells, curses, and spells gone awry, harmful spiritual entities. And then she she concludes with the 13-day eradication ritual, which is very, very intense. You're talking about 13 days.
Mhm.
And then she talks about severe spiritual activities that require professional help. And I like that because
I love
some
that.
people, yes, some people really do incur or come across negative entities that disturb
Yes.
their home,
Yeah.
or sometimes they bring it on thinking that, oh, this is just fun and games, or
Yes.
and you really welcome something into your life, into you,
Yes.
into your home, and now you need professional help. So that's why I like this book. I like this book. Again, Miss Ada, Hoodoo Cleansing and Protection Magic. And all
Yeah.
of my hoodoo books talk about protection, but I just wanted to highlight this book this time. And
Yes.
then, of course, we know out there's plenty of groups, communities on social media.
Yes.
People are ready and willing to give their advice, their outlook on life. And I think that that really will help a lot of people.
Yes.
Mhm.
Love that. Your turn, Connor.
So in terms of protections that I normally do, much like Lala said in the past, that I generally have jewelry on that I actively wear all day.
Yes.
That kind of protects me. So that's kind of where like my everyday kind of protection comes from.
Yes.
I don't I don't particularly like require a heavy amount of protection personally. Like I don't feel like I need like
Like you
multiple
need it.
layers.
I'm glad
Yes.
you
Yeah.
said that, because sometimes you may not feel like you need all of this
Hmm.
protection, and that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, there are definitely certain days where I wake up and I'm like, need to throw something extra on today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Love that. Love to hear that, because you need to be, I think that it's, and sorry for interrupting you. I feel that it's important for our practitioners to the sun. I feel that it's important to our practitioners to be extra aware of how are you feeling. There are days that we feel like, okay, I need to, today is cold, I need to wear a sweater. You don't need to wear a sweater every single day, but if today you need it, wear it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, I primarily listen to my intuition.
Yes.
If I feel like my protections are getting low, I'll recharge them.
Yes.
If I feel like my space needs to cleanse, like the air's a bit heavy, I'll clear it out.
Yes.
You know, whenever I do regular cleaning of the house, again, I'll open the windows, I'll like sweep the floors, like, you know,
Yes.
I'll clear and do deep cleans and I'll sweep all that shit out the door. And while I'm doing that, you can also do like mindful activities while you do it. So, for example, you know, you can do like as like as I sweep the broom across the floor and sweep up dust bunnies and such, so do I also sweep up negative energies and things no longer
Yes.
serve me. And you can kick it out the house, right? So
Yeah.
that's another sort of active way that I do it. In terms of energies that I pull upon, usually they're just sort of like the elements. They are certain environments that I can sometimes pull from if they make me feel safe.
Yes.
But primarily for like if I need to do like a heavy protection, generally at that point I'll call upon the Morrigan, which is which she is really great at setting and
She
keeping
is
boundaries. She's the
excellent.
great.
She is excellent at the time to be like, hey,
Absolutely. So I'll sometimes call upon her when I feel like I need a bit of extra guns in the situation. But generally I do little bits of maintenance here and there throughout the week that kind of like keep me topped up, so to say. So I don't really
Yes.
necessarily need to invest a lot. And then of course I have my own individual little protections that I have throughout the house that sort of just create like a little web, right?
Yes.
In terms of resources, one book I may have already suggested, and one that's quite easy and accessible is
Love
Cord
that.
Magic. Making cords or witches' ladders are very easy. All you need is some string or some kind of rope or something, and
Yes.
that's pretty much it. Right? It
Yes.
doesn't take a lot. You can even use your shoelaces, like extra lengths on your shoelaces or something to do something. Or like if a shoelace breaks, you could use that piece to like make something and then tuck it in the tongue or like
Yes.
underneath the tongue of your shoe or something like that to like carry protection everywhere you go. So there's a lot of easy ways that you can do protection. And I am also going to be providing like us some videos to post down below from other content creators that will have some other suggestions and things like that that they can also use as well.
Yes. Perfect.
Awesome. I love
That's
that.
awesome. So on my end, when it comes to talk about protection, I typically I rely a lot on my protection oil. I love making conditioning oils, and I made my own recipe of conditioning oil, especially focused on protection. As I said, divine protection is something that I am always calling for. So the Our Father praise, I feel that is one of the best protection prayers out there. Something that I also like to do, as I mentioned, the what is the word? Aloe vera?
Aloe vera?
Aloe vera?
Aloe vera?
Aloe vera? Okay.
Aloe.
Aloe. It's not aloe, it's aloe.
Aloe.
Aloe vera.
Like
Um,
aloe.
aloe.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
So that I have her. She's my friend. And on top of that, I also have like my witch's bottle. I do invite everyone to, more than creating protections like crazy, do invite you to treat your magic, your witchcraft as a experiment type of thing. See how you are feeling. Grab a book, create your protection, and write down the results. How do you feel the energy after you did it? Do you see any type of results or changes in that week? Stuff like that, you know? because some protections, like, you made them and everything stays the same. So, give that practicality
Right.
to your magic. But yeah, that on that side. Now, when it comes to talk about books recommendations, I already shared Mexican Sorcery and American Brujeria. It does not focus exclusively on protection, but it will give to beginner practitioners a good start point. However, the best book that I can recommend, and this is like beginners and intermediate, Protection and Reversal Magic, of course, by Jason Miller.
Yes.
It goes over very simple protections. It goes over very hardcore protections where you called spirits Hecate, the devil. You can like protections that I even have not done yet because I don't feel the need to. But I know that if there's a hardcore situation, I need to trap a spirit. I know that is out there, the spell. So yeah, that on that. There's another book as well that I recommend, which is Shield by Christopher Pensac. I have the digital version, but I don't have it on paperback. So yeah, that on that. But I do recommend that book. And yeah, those are my resources. How are we feeling, everybody, with this content, with the protection episode?
It's great to me. I
Feels
mean,
really
I
good,
think
yeah.
it's necessary. People need to know, and they need, just to know that protection is needed.
Yes.
But and like we all three said, that there are many of times where I'm like, I don't feel like I need protection. So I don't have to do like this hardcore, strenuous ritual. I can do something simple to just keep that shell there until I feel like I'm under severe attack, right? So yeah, I just think it's necessary that we did this episode.
Absolutely. I also feel
Yes.
like it's something to definitely keep practicing. You definitely want to have some pretty strong like protection muscles so you can flex them when you need to, because you don't
Yes.
want to have a weak arm when you need to wrestle something else that's much bigger
Yes.
than you.
Yes.
So practice this first is what I recommend. Get used to learning how to put up protections, how to maintain them, and how to identify some of them as well. Absolutely, I think it's like it's a very crucial thing to do. And I would also recommend, even if you don't necessarily like, if you're starting out, even if you don't really feel like you necessarily need a protection prior to some kind of ritual you're doing, practice it
Yes.
anyways. Get into the routine and the ritual of doing that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, important to be said, important to be practiced. I think that protection is a solid foundation of any practitioner.
And wear condom.
That too. what best analogy to be brought on?
Yes.
You don't need to wear it
Mhm.
all the time, but if you're going to space that you don't know, if there's no,
You're raw dog and a demon.
like, if you're a raw dog in the spiritual world, let me tell you something, you're going to catch something.
Yeah. Spiritual
So,
herpes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Be protect. I love that. Just wear a
Yes.
condom. Wear your
Yeah, wear a
spiritual
condom.
condom.
Put
That's
some
right.
protections on.
Especially
That's
on those
right.
wild nights, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great.
Yes.
I love spending time here with you guys. So thank you so much for joining us. I invite everyone that is listening to us to please leave a comment, like, share. Feel free to ask questions. By all means, we invite you to connect with us. If there's a particular topic that you want us to go over, by all means, let us know. And as I say, thank you all for being here with us, and I hope that you enjoyed this as much as we did.
Yes.
So big blessings and
Happy
witching.
witching.
This was great. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye. Good
Bye-bye.
night.